Are you tired of staying up all night building your externals with wide gaps to have outer peaks and inner peaks just to get 16 rocket rated overnight? Well, look no further. Stop building a base to get online rated when nobody online raids anymore. Today I'll be showing you how to use this base that me and my friends have been using for about 3 months now, and it's only been offline one time. Today I'll be walking you through step by step on just how to make this base. So sit back, relax. There will be timestamps throughout the video. Now the first 2 floors of this base are essentially entirely honeycombed, and a player will have to go through 4 walls just to get to your core. I'd say it's likely that your raiders, in an offline scenario, will try to just go through the 1st and 2nd floor, in which case they will be very unhappy. Even if they don't, and they blow into 3rd, they're still looking at least 35 rockets. This base is equipped with 2 shooting floors, the lower level, which is a crouching shooting floor, allowing you to have better recoil control thanks to the new update, and then the upper floor, which will extend further out from the base and give you peeks down into your compound. Now, because there are these floors in the window frames there, players will not be able to blow the vertical embrasures and just walk right into your shooting floor, which makes it quite a bit stronger. Here we have our upper bedroom with plenty of space for loot and lockers. It was unfinished at the time that I filmed this, but you can have a ton of boxes up there, plenty of room to move around. Up here we have heli storage. You have room for 3 minis in here. The turrets on roof. Nice, beautiful view from this roof. Again, space for 4 windmills, allowing you to have as many turrets as you can imagine. Ouch. Now down here you can see where I place the turrets over the gates. Here I show you the walkway into the starter furnace base that I use. I would highly recommend doing something like this for this base design, but you don't have to. Now let's get into the build. So your server just wiped, you beeline to where you wanted to make your base, and all you gotta do is set down this beautiful little 1x1, slap down your TC, and now go and get yourself some stone. You're going to need about 9k to get the starter down that I'm building. If you don't want to build my starter, go ahead and just build a 2x2 off to the side somewhere, but you should definitely get this 1x1 down where you want to build your base. Once you have that 9k stone to build the starter base, you want to go around and build the footprint of the main in twig so that you can get the spacing right for the starter base. Now face straight out from your front door on your 1x1 and do what I'm doing here. The placement does not have to be perfect. There's no special gap that I'm doing or anything. You're just trying to get the spacing right. Once you've got the starter base up, you can break all this twig. You won't need it for a while. Here's how I lay out my starter. You got plenty of boxes here to get you going. You got your room for bags, a couple of furnaces. Don't forget to put a window in front of your TC and lock it. Now go out and do some farming. Once you have about 18,000 stone, you can get the furnaces up on your base and follow exactly as I'm doing here. I'm assuming that most of you are familiar with the modern furnace base design. Make sure that you do not place the roofs until you have your furnaces and your oil refinery in place. You'll see here in just a second that I place this large furnace off in the corner as much as I can, and I place the oil refinery. It, to my knowledge, is not possible to block the roof placement with the large furnace by doing that, so don't worry. Alright, now let's get on to the good stuff. To start your main now, you're going to want about 22,000 metal frags, and I highly recommend that you do all of this in sheet metal. This is all your honeycomb, you're not going to be able to get to it later and upgrade it, so just farm up that 20,000 metal frags and get this going. You're also going to want 2 vending machines, a ladder, and some garage doors. Just follow exactly what I'm doing. I made a crucial mistake in the base build right here, and I forgot to place a half floor in a triangle where I am right there, or right here, to get the triangle inside of the loot room. I assume you know what I'm talking about there. If you don't, I will point it out to you later when I correct it. You can place a small furnace or a ladder right there to get up from your first floor. This is where you will be placing your 6 vending machines. I would highly recommend that before you get off on your first night that you have all 6 of these in place so that you can seal the ones to the left and the right with the low wall. Do not forget to disable the broadcast in your vending machines unless you want the whole server to know that you're freaking loaded. Alright, so we're just about done with the first phase here. Go ahead and place your sleeping bags, get all your doors on, and you guessed it, go farm yourself a bunch more metal. This next step, getting your airlocks and jump ups on either side of the base, will only cost you about another 10,000 metal frags, so go ahead and do as I'm doing here. If you're struggling to get your hands on a lot of metal frags, you can just do this part of the base in stone and upgrade it later. Now go ahead and do the exact same thing on the other side of the base. Now I'll go through everything we've built so far and add all the loot rooms and doors. Placing these lockers and boxes can be a little bit tight, so take your time and make sure you've got the locker all the way back as much as you can, and the first box as well. Repeat exactly what I'm doing here in the other 2 loot rooms that have the triangle slot for the locker. Then, in the one room that does not have that extra triangle, you can place 2 beds. And I place 1 more off to the side, as we usually play as a trio. You can get a 4th one on the other side if you need to, and that's about all the room you have for beds for right now. This is where I realized I made a mistake. So, when you were doing that first part, this is what I was pointing out. You would place a half wall there, a triangle, and so long as there was a full wall there, that triangle would stay when you break that. But there isn't, so I just made that work. You can just do that. It's a little more expensive, but whatever. Make sure the roller for that garage door is on the inside of the loot room so it doesn't block you on that ladder hatch. Alright, and this is what the base should look like so far. Next we're going to finish the rest of the honeycomb. This will cost you about 12,000 metal frags. You can bring a ladder with you to make your life a little bit easier while you're doing this, but I like to do this little trick where I make a half wall, jump up on it, and demolish it as I'm jumping onto the floor above. Alright, next we're going to get the crouch window floor up. This part's going to cost you about 20,000 metal frags. Once you have all these window frames up, you're going to want to get the embrasures in before you place the half floors, because the floors will block you from being able to place the embrasures from inside the base. Now go and place half walls around the perimeter of the base. Pew 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 pew, he's dead! I leave that square open in the center there so that you can place a triangle and put boxes above your beds there. Now at this point you can pick up your beds that are on the 3rd floor and move them up here. If you're playing in a group that's bigger than 3, you're probably going to need to leave the ones down below and just add more up in this area here. Make sure you have the garage doors placed here before you place the beds, because the beds will block the garage door placement. Here, you'll see that I try to place the boxes from underneath, and I quickly remember that doesn't work, and you have to do it from the top. Now let's get the upper shooting floor done. You're going to need about 15,000 metal frags for this. Work your way around to the right. You always want to have the overhanging part go as far as you can from this direction so that the stability on the door frames is better. All you have to do is place a triangle off of each portion of the base and then fill in the gap appropriately. You're going to need 12 sheet metal doors and 16 embrasures for this part, which I included in the 15,000 metal I said you would need for the windows. This is where your upper bedroom is going to go. You can get 4 beds in this one. If you have 6 people in your group, you can get more beds across the hall here from me, but since I play as a trio, I like using the open space behind me for mixing tables and things like that. As you can see, I'm utilizing every inch of this base. Alright, now let's finish off the roof. You're only going to need about 10,000 more frags to do this. Now congratulations, you're basically done building the base. At this point, all I'm going to do is put up the windmills, and then after I show you how to set up electricity and all that, for those of you that might not know how to do that, we'll go over the compound and TCs. I'll set a timestamp up if you don't need to see how to do all that electrical bullshit. I usually go about 4 door frames high here for the windmills. I think there is stability to go a little bit higher if you need to, but that should be plenty for the power you will get from the windmills. Now we can go back down to where we first had our beds and place 2 large batteries and 1 medium battery. A windmill will generate 150 power at maximum, but a large battery will only put out 100 power at a time. So you can divert some power from one of the windmills to this medium battery to run lights in your base. I demonstrate here that the windmills are actually too far from the batteries for you to just do it in one run, so you have to set up electrical branches a little bit higher up in the base. On the branch that you are going to bring to the medium battery, I would set the branch out to 105 and run it to the large battery, and then have the remaining power out go to the small battery. The reason you set it to 105 is that windmills don't always run at their maximum speed. So in the times where it's running low, if you have max turrets on that one battery, it will actually drain your battery over time. So leave it at 105. I run 8 turrets off of each large battery, so here's how you set up your electrical branches for that. Now I'll go through and show you the turret placements that I usually do. The turrets inside the base can wait for last. I would do the roof first, let's get 2 up here, and then compound. Alright, time for externals and compound. Now, like I said when I was showing you the furnace starter base, these placements do not have to be perfect. I do this just so that they're facing generally the right direction and that I have the right spacing from the base. Build out 6 and then place the 7th higher. If you can't place it higher, just place it at the same height and build up with a half wall to get it that half step higher. Break the square connecting this raised structure to the rest of the line. Go ahead and build everything that I'm doing right now. And what you want to do, after I get this TC down, is you'll build a roof right here. That roof isn't connected to that wall. So all you have to do, wait for it, is place that, and now it's connected. So if you ever need to remove this TC, if you get, raided and they get your TC, but you want to climb the base back, all you gotta do is go around and break those twigs. Now the reason I've waited till last to show you TCs and compound is that I usually don't bother building a compound until I know that I have electricity ready and I can get turrets up right away. I'm not going to leave furnaces in an unguarded compound for rats to just come loot my furnaces while I'm away doing something else. That is also the reason for the furnace starter base. It would probably be a wise idea for you to get these TCs up earlier in your base progression so that you don't get griefed. Now these are the gates that I use. You can kind of use whatever you want for this part. This is what I prefer. Now, of all the things in the game that they could have improved over time, high wall placement is still fucking horrible in my opinion. So through here, I spent a little bit of time tweaking around, testing wood walls, stone walls. I'm gonna say stick with wood walls. The placement's a lot easier to not fuck up. I show you exactly how to do it here in a way that it'll work, and I demonstrate to you that stone walls are annoying. On this side, I finally get it right. You place the walls against your gatehouses first, obviously. You want them to point almost straight out and follow through with the first two walls and then connect them. I'll do it again right here. It'll work first try. Just gotta, when you're doing it on your real server, take your time. See, I messed it up right there. There we go. It works out. You can do that with stone if the area you're doing this in is very flat, but stone walls will clip a lot more in uneven ground. Next, we're going to do the barricades. This one's pretty easy to not mess up. These, on the other hand, can get a little tricky, and you want to make sure you place these facing that direction. On the outsides, you do have to place that twig. Don't worry, barricade won't disappear when you break it. And then you place that one sideways in the middle. If you don't have enough space to place it sideways, you can just place it the long way. Now that your compound is sealed up nice, you can go ahead and place all your turrets above the gatehouses there. And place them around your base. You got plenty of power to do that. And then you can place your large furnaces, boxes, maybe even beds in the compound for extra fast respawns for nearby fights. And that's going to about wrap it up. Don't forget, some poor little thing at the end here, to build these door frames going up so that the build priv from the externals actually reaches the roof of your main base. If you forget to do that, your externals don't do anything, and raiders can just put a brand new TC on your roof. I want to thank everybody for watching. This is my very first Rust video that I've actually had to edit and put a lot of time and effort into this. So if you could give me a like, I'd appreciate that. Subscribe if you want to see some actual game content. Left here on the screen, the total build costs, the upkeep, pretty steep, but if you're having a good wipe day, it shouldn't be too hard to come up with this stuff. Have it done by second day of wipe. I hope you enjoyed. I will be closely monitoring the comments, so if there's anything I left out, I will be happy to answer your questions there.